very good morning to you, Eldrin, and to our viewers at home. This is one industry that has not been spared where the headwinds are concerned. We're talking about load shedding. That is the current crisis that has hampered production in this regard. We're talking about the value chain here, talking about industries in the metal space. We're talking about industries in the mining space, the automotive space as well, are not spared against these challenges that have been happening here. Very critical is this sector and these men and women that have gathered here at the Emperor's Palace in Kempton Park to try by all means to take stock of where the industry is and those well-needed solutions. So SEIFSA, the federation, just gathering around those role players. Economists are here, government here, the private sector also here, just to try by all means to just take stock and craft those solutions as they work to ensuring that what government has placed at the center of ensuring that there's job creation and there's productivity, that this sector, we really get the best out of this sector, will come from these men and women that have gathered here. They'll gather here for those 2 days to try by all means to craft those solutions coming through from SEIFSA. I'm going to invite into the conversation now the CEO of SEIFSA, Mr. Lucio and Retini, who let us in really this afternoon in terms of what has been happening here. We see that the first session is just done and dusted out of the way, and we see that we're going to be entering into a panel discussion here. But just let us in on how important is it that we really gather here for these coming 2 days.
So we've decided to convene this collective bargaining summit on the eve of the next round of wage and conditions of employment negotiations in our sector. Our sector is a critically important sector to the economy. It employs over 220,000 blue-collar workers. The turnover of the sector is in excess of 900 billion rand, and we simply cannot afford as a country, as an industry, to go through what we went through in 2021, where the sector grinds to a halt as a result of the key stakeholders, business and labour, not finding one another. The strike in 2021 cost the industry in excess of 600 million rand a day, and quite frankly, that's a scenario that we want to avoid at all costs. So this summit over the next 2 days is aimed at bringing the key players, business, labour and government, into a room to understand that we have a responsibility not just to our own shareholders and different constituencies in the form of workers, but to South Africa Inc., the country that we are located in and the country that we owe our allegiance to. We have to ensure that we do the best in avoiding a collapse in the negotiations that will happen next year.
We heard often over time, we always hear that the collective bargaining process has been under siege, and this is where then we are taking stock in terms of just making sure that we solidify our approaches and everybody just get on the same table, they're on the same page where this collective bargaining process is concerned. How important is it that we strengthen the collective bargaining process, and how will it help the men and women on the ground that form part of this sector?
So SEIFSA is an employer federation. We represent 18 independent employer organizations that employ the majority of employees in the sector. We have invited other employer bodies to attend today and tomorrow's session. Our intention is to have everyone in the room to talk about the issues that may separate us in next year's round of discussions. Our intention is to find common ground between different employer bodies and the trade unions, because by finding common ground we can find an agreement and we can avoid a breakdown in negotiations, which would be disastrous for the country and for our sector. Please bear in mind, the manufacturing sector is a key supplier and customers to all the major parts of the economy around us, whether it's mining, automotive, construction. We have a responsibility to ensure that we don't grind to a halt, because when our sector grinds to a halt, the economy feels the effect of that. That old saying, when the metal industry sneezes, the rest of the economy catches a cold, is as true as it was in 2021, and it will be just as true in 2022.
Richard Tretini, thank you very much, sir, for your time this morning, coming through as the CEO of SEIFSA. On the table, on the agenda in these coming 2 days, we're also going to be seeing panel discussions that will touch on the issues of industrialization, touch on issues of just getting the best out of the energy crisis that we have right now. And that is where we also see officials from government, the cabinet, the Deputy Minister of Finance, David Masondo, who also form part of this session here today. And tomorrow we'll see the Minister of Labour, Thula Singesi, forming part of those that will usher in discussions here and also bring under the spotlight the role of NEDLAC in terms of making sure that there's a conducive environment here for this industry to thrive.